welcome to Arizona Metro. We are live streaming this evening. We have a special guest, mayoral candidate by the name of Tim Seay. My name is Coreen Zalot, and I will be hosting this evening's show. Please welcome Tim Seay to the show. Hi, Tim. How are you?
Hi, Coreen. How are you doing today?
I'm great. Thank you so much for being here this evening. So we have quite a few guests this evening coming on who would love to have a conversation with you and talk with you about your candidacy and what your goals and hopes and dreams are for the city of Phoenix, should you be elected. So thank you so much for being here and being willing to have this conversation with some of the constituents that are interested in potentially supporting you in your candidacy.
Thank you so much. So first of all, let me say thank you to you, to the AZ Metro News, for letting me come on your show and express my platform. Thank you so much.
Absolutely. It's an honor to have you. So this evening, we've got several people that are, like I said, from the community. So we're going to jump right in and get started with our very first guest. Please welcome to the show, Harold Branch III. He is known for home-based poetry. He's also now a consultant and coach, and he's expanding his endeavors. So Harold, thank you so much. Is there anything that I forgot to mention that you're up to these days?
We don't have that kind of time. It's all right. It's all good. I appreciate being here and seeing Brother Tim Seay as well. Always an honor seeing you, sir.
All right. Well, go ahead and ask your first question.
Wonderful. I sure will. One of the concerns for me and some people I've talked about as we work on changing things in the police and all of what's going on with cops and abuses and things of that nature, a lot of changes can occur because of the police unions. The police unions are so strong that even when chief of police try to make things happen, they get pushed back against, and even cops they get to deal with different laws. So my question is, how would you go about not taking away all the power, but shifting some of that power so we can get some real change in the police department and it wouldn't be held up by things like the police unions? Hello, I'm not sure. Were you able to hear me? Hello?
I think that he might be having some technical difficulties. Can you hear now, Tim?
Yes, I can hear you, Coreen. I can't hear HB.
Oh, okay. You can't?
Can you hear me, Coreen?
I can't hear him at all. I can hear you.
Okay, I can hear Harold. Do you want me to repeat what Harold asked?
Yes,
I don't know that I'll be able to say it as eloquently as Harold.
Yes, he does speak well.
He does. He's the poet in him. So, okay. So Harold, you wanted to ask Tim about the police union. Can you repeat what it was?
Yeah, I keep it simple. Considering all the changes that the police cannot do because the unions have so much power that they can block it, what can we do? What would he be willing to do in order to reduce that power, limit that power, so we can have change in the police departments?
Okay. Did you hear any of that, Tim?
I didn't hear not one
okay.
word.
So Harold is wondering, because there's the police union intact, that oftentimes will limit what changes can occur within a police system. And so he's wondering what it would be that you could do that would ultimately change that power structure so that real change could actually occur within the police department.
Perfect.
Okay, yeah, Harold, that's a great question. And you're right, the police union does have much control over the disciplinary actions of the police force. But we can make changes from the inside out. So that's we're working with the union. Not saying that would be a effective way, but that's a start. And we have to get into the training of the police officers. like we did back in the day when we grew up. I do believe police training should start with police that actually live in the community. Once they live in the community, they protect the community. They're from the community, so they know everyone that's involved in the community. So they know if you have a mental problem, they'll know that if you've been involved with the law. These are the things that we have to get back to the old school of training. Now, the union is pretty strong for Arizona Police Union, but right is right and wrong is wrong, and we need to address that. So we'd have to get the state's attorney involved in that. When you break the law, no matter what color you have on, black or blue, you must answer to that.
Okay, excellent. Did you have any rebuttal or any additional follow-up questions, Harold?
No rebuttal at all. No rebuttal at all. And just looking at time, I just want to, appreciate that answer. It was thorough, and I look forward to seeing some actual change.
Okay, awesome. Thank you so much for being here. Have a wonderful evening. And next we have Adam Hunter coming up. Adam is a local music artist and professional, so please let's welcome Adam to the show.
Hey, how we doing?
Hi, Adam. Thank you so much for being here. Tim, can you hear Adam?
Can you hear me at all?
Hi, Adam.
Hey, how you doing,
Adam?
Tim?
I'm doing well. How are you?
I'm doing great, man. I appreciate you being here and everybody putting this together. And I know we kind of got to be quick, so I don't want to take too much time. But I'll jump to my first question, and that's I want to know your thoughts on ways that that the Black community can kind of have more access or more awareness of things that might already be in place to be able to build more communal wealth in Phoenix and in the area, and kind of be an example for other cities in the area too, because we kind of own the least out of everybody, and it'd be nice to feel like we have equity where we live. I think that changed the dynamic a lot.
That's a perfect question, Adam. And the way we build youth is we sometimes have to come together. Now, sometimes I'll be honest with you, different cultures react different ways when it comes to wealth. You take other cultures, they kind of stick together. So the first thing we have to do is start sticking together, and we have to build our own community of wealth. So what does that actually mean? So we have to actually get together, get our heads together, get the leaders together, and build our own structural economic development. And when we can do that, we can build wealth. But the problem is when we start building wealth, we don't stick together. So that's the biggest thing. You take our history in 1920 in Oklahoma, they built that. They were able to accomplish that. And I think we can do that again. It's been 100 years, but like I say, time is now.
Yeah, I agree. I like that answer a lot. And I mean, I don't really have anything in the way of rebuttal. I mean, I love where you're at on that. I mean, I do have another question too that has to do with the economy, but also has to do with the police brutality that's going on. And I was wondering if you'd be willing to kind of highlight, whether it's on an individual basis or as a total, what the city is paying in police brutality settlements and in police brutality bond when they're paying those back, so the public can kind of see what it's actually looking like as a whole. Because I know it affects the Black community directly, but the economy affects everyone as well. It's not just affecting us, So I was wondering about that as well.
You're right, and that number is pretty high. Now, with today's technology, Adam, we can find all these answers. We can just Google them. We can go to phoenix.gov, and we can look up lawsuits, and it'll tell you the exact number it is. It is a staggering high number. But when you break down statistics of the lawsuits between different ethnic groups, the variety is pretty different. So for us that to be a community involvement, for us where you can see the records, that's the easy thing you can do. You just Google it. You can Google it, or you can go to phoenix.gov, and the answer is there. It's the law for that to be public information.
Does that include the bond payments as well, or does it just show the total settlements that are made? Because I know the bond payments sometimes double the total number of the settlements, sometimes with interest rates and stuff like that. They can shoot the price up. So I was just wondering if it reflected that with what's available to the public.
It is. And when you say bond payment,
Okay.
now you're looking at the legalities of things, and that's all court documents, and that's viewable too. You just have to know where to look. So we could do a community training class on how to find that type of information, but it's there. It's all there.
All right. I appreciate that.
Wonderful.
I don't know how much time do we have. Am I running
Yep.
close?
We got to cut you off.
Perfect. No, I appreciate the time. I
Thank you
appreciate
so
that.
much,
Thank you all
Adam.
very
Hey,
much.
thank you, Adam.
Have a
Most
wonderful
definitely.
evening.
Y'all do the same.
Okay, so next we have Blue Mitchell. He's the CEO of Sigma Cuts. So please welcome Blue.
Hey, what's up, guys? How's it going?
Hey, Blue. Thank you for being here.
Good. Tim, you can hear me?
I hear you, Blue.
All right, great. I'm just going to go ahead and jump right into it. Just want to say, first off, thank you guys for having me on the show and raising awareness to some of the things that we as community members in Arizona and Phoenix want to address. One of my questions is, what are your thoughts on investing federal funds into block grants and enterprise zone opportunities specifically to target the homeless community?
Well, you know what? As far as that's on the state level, that's given to the city, and that fund is there. It's just not allocated to the homeless. Now, you take as record-wise, there's $50 million that's given to the state. The state breaks it down and gives it to the local, and the local must be able to disperse that. Now, the people that you have in office now controls those funds. So we need to get someone in there that can associate with the homeless and the things that the city need to allocate those funds. The funds are there.
Correct. We know that the funds are there. The one of the biggest things, I'm just gonna not just rebuttal a little bit, but how do you feel, about turning those federal funds into block grants specifically to target, homeless individuals? Would that be something that you, as a mayoral candidate, if got elected, would be able to want to pursue to help? Right now, Phoenix is a big source for helping the homeless community, and people that are in the positions now want to see other cities be involved in helping the homeless community. Do you feel like you would be able to, maybe introduce block grants to help enterprises, business sectors, private sectors to be able to help homeless community members?
Sure. And that's a great question. And now I want everyone to understand I am running for mayor of Phoenix, but I'm a community leader also, and I'm a humanitarian. So serving the homeless, I've done that for the last 20 years. So bringing that program into the mayoral or into the mayor's office would be a great idea. And those would be some of the plans that I would do anyway. We would have to take care of our homeless. We also have to do training on grants so we can get that accessibility to that.
Perfect. Thank you so much. Now, what would be your plan to address the leading cause of homelessness in instance for lack of affordable housing, unemployment, and treatment as far as mental health and physical health towards our homeless community members? Arizona right now is a hotspot for COVID, and it's probably only going to get worse. And in those sectors of homelessness, it's only going to get worse for those individuals, right? No one's going to want to probably give them money as they're standing on the corner because they're going to be afraid of catching COVID. And how would you, as and Phoenix being the lead in homelessness, how would you address that?
Correct, Blue, and you're absolutely right. So you said the major word when you first came on. You have to have a plan. So the plan would be to structure a plan around that homeless. How are we going to help the homeless? How are we going to get them medical care? How are we going to get them shelter? So we'd have to get on that on a piece of paper and put that down to just discuss that. So now my thought is just like how I run the community. There's a lot of buildings here in Arizona. Matter of fact, right down from City Hall that are vacant. We need to set up a plan where we can get some shelters to that. All we have to do is get the lights. And like you said earlier about grants, fund that, and let's take care of the homeless. We could do that. We can set up training to get them jobs afterward, if that's what they choose, get them cleaned up. But the major part you said that is correct. It is a plan. We have to come up with a plan.
Definitely. Well, thank you so much, Tim, for answering my questions. I really appreciate that. Thank you guys for having me on the show, and thank you.
Thank you, Blue.
Thank you for being here. Have a good evening. Okay, so next we have Carlton Hamilton coming up. Carlton is a former professional baseball player. Please welcome Carlton to the show.
Hey, how you doing? Thanks for having me.
Thank you, Carlton.
All right, I've got two questions, and I'm going to put them together because I think and everybody was always asking. I knew everybody was going to be asking questions about all the issues. I think it's important that they get to know a little bit about you. So my two questions are: tell us a little bit about yourself from childhood all the way up to college graduation, if you did that, or high school graduation. Then tell us a little bit about from that point to where you are now. So you see what I'm saying? Just kind of give us a little bit of who you are, so we kind of know, why you're standing on the issues and running for mayor, if that makes sense.
Okay, how much time we have? We'll do this really quick. You said from childhood, so I'll take you to birth. I was born in Chicago, Cook County Hospital, and we moved to Maywood in 1968. Actually, we moved there 2 weeks before Martin Luther King was murdered, assassinated, whatever you want to use, April 4th. I went to grammar school. I went to high school. I grew up right next door to Glenn Doc Rivers, the coach of
Proviso East.
Yeah, went to Proviso East.
Yeah.
And I went to DePaul University. I pledged a Nuke, so if you're okay with that, I am a Nuke.
All right.
So I got my master's at ASU, and the education is definitely not a part. I became part of the Masonic organization. I worked my way up the rank, and in the Masonic organization, we are benevolence to charity, and that's what I do. I became a humanitarian after that, and the community asked me would I run for mayor, and I took it on that goal, and that's what I'm gonna do.
Okay, that's good. I just we come right in, we jump in with the issues.
Sure.
And I because I graduated from ASU as well, and one of my sociology professors had always talked about it's very important to know where people came from, what was their upbringing, what was their influence, because then that very much influences how they speak on issues. So I always like to know where people, and I'm from Chicago as well. So
okay, what part of Chicago?
The South Side, 127th and Halstead, and I went to college where you in Maywood. I went to Triton College for a little bit.
Oh, Triton, yeah.
So I know the Maywood area, and so once you start talking about that, I said I know exactly what he's talking about. But it makes sense.
Baseball. Yeah, you played baseball. Triton. Kirby Puckett was there. Triton.
I'm in that era. Kirby, Lance, they were all on my team.
Oh man, we're right at home. But you're right, and so to answer your question really quickly, how I grew up. We grew up in the civil rights movement. So we know the whole thing about civil rights movement, protesting, the right to vote. We know all those issues. So that's where I come in now as coming into as mayor.
Okay. Well, thank you. I don't have any other follow-up questions. I just wanted to kind of get an idea of what your foundation was and what would lead you where you're going right now. So appreciate the time.
Thank you so much.
Thank you, Carlton. I appreciate you being here. Okay, thank you, Tim. So it looks like we have Quinton Baker next. He is the advisor for Your Farm Foods. Please welcome Quinton to the show. Hi, Quinton. Do we have you?
Hey, Quinton.
Can you hear us?
All right, am I on?
Yes.
Oh,
hello, Quinton.
Perfect. Hi.
Hi.
How you doing, Tim?
Good, doing good, Quinton. Thanks.
Perfect.
So,
let me just jump right on in. Oh, go ahead. Oh, can you hear me? Are we good?
yep, we're just waiting for you to ask him the question.
Okay, perfect. Sorry, I don't mean to delay it. So first off, I am curious to know what resources do everyday people have to find out, and it may not be multiple resources. I'm looking for like one look people that what money is behind the bills that are going forward. Who are the polls really playing towards? What resources do we have so we can be more knowledgeable voters, rather than just going off of, well, my mom knows so and so, or I see this person every night when I'm watching TV on a commercial. What resources do we have that we can really educate ourselves quickly, but also thoroughly, without needing to know legalese that maybe you've come across in your campaign?
Well, Quinton, I tell you, the best resources that we have is sitting right in our hands. We can Google anything. You can Google anyone. Those are there. Also, public records. That's available. All we have to do is get to them. So the questions that you ask, most of the time you can put it into Google and it'll find it for you. Now, some others may lead you to a paying resource for information, but most of this information is free. So when you're looking up people in today's time, there's so much things that we can find. Facebook, maybe that's not true of what they are, but Instagram, all the social medias, you can really find out who a person is. You can take it from there. You can Google. You can get the date of birth. All that information is available. And if they've gotten some type of record, it will show. If they've gotten something on their driver's license, it will show. So those information are already available.
Okay, gotcha. And last question for me is, during this time of you choosing to run for mayor this year, a lot has happened already. What has been the most difficult part, probably experienced as the most difficult part in running, that maybe you had to either level yourself up in the middle of the moment or get wiser, stronger, better? What has that been for you?
Okay, now, when we started the campaign, it was going really good. But when the COVID-19 came across, and now the situation that's going on now, so we can't really do the door-to-door things without people being in fear. So most people want you to have a mask, a glove. Most people won't answer the door now. So now we have to utilize ourselves now to do social media and get on AZ News to promote the campaign. Now, for as donations go, donations have just about stopped on the local level. It may be still going on the state level, but the local level, the campaign finances aren't there because people aren't giving because of the situation that's going on now. So the campaign has gotten tough, even with getting signatures. Did I lose you, Quinton?
Gotcha.
Okay.
Cool.
Are you still there, Q? Quinton?
I'm still here.
I think we might have lost Quinton. But you answered
I was able to answer his question.
Yeah, you scared him away. No.
Oh, I didn't scare him away.
So next we have Morgan Mallory coming on the show. Thank you, Morgan, for being here. It's so exciting to have you here with us this evening. Feel free to go ahead and ask Tim your questions.
Well, hi. First of all, thanks for having me. And I'm just going to hop right into it. My question is, what kind of legislation do you plan to pass that would increase the educational level? It would become that it's necessary to become a police officer, because it only takes 6 months, and that's a very short amount of time to have all that kind of responsibility.
How are you doing today, Mark? And that's a good question. But as a mayor, I can't pass any legislations. I can write some proclamations for that. The educational part is on the state level. And you're right. It's 1,500 hours to become a barber, and I think it's 596 hours to become a police officer. So we have to get with our legislation, our House representatives, our Congress, to pass a legislation bill that would require more training. And also, the biggest part to me is I think the beginning of the training of an officer, I think they need to do some social issues first. If they had some anger problems and things like that, that's going to eventually show up in their career. So I believe the training in the beginning is the best. But you're absolutely right. Legislation must be made and bills passed where the requirement is a little bit steeper than what it is.
Okay, that was pretty much it.
That's it?
Yeah.
Oh, okay. Well, I definitely, when I get in as mayor, that would be one of my bigger things to do is to propose those two legislation and be a voice for that.
Morgan, you are young. I just want to acknowledge that. And I'm so excited. I've been watching you, and you've become so powerful with your voice. And so I'm really excited to see you continue that and be a powerful leader for your young people in your age group, and get them out to vote. And hopefully you're registered and you take advantage of the opportunity as well.
Yeah, thank you so much.
Morgan, we need you. You're the next generation. So I'm here moving forward to kick the door in. So when you get there, you won't have to go through the things that I'm going through. So I'm counting on you to stay focused and keep moving forward. Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Thank you, Morgan. Have a good evening. So next we have Kara Smith on the show. She is our last guest, and Kara is going to be asking you some questions. We're just waiting for 1 second, I think, for her to log in.
Okay.
Thank you so much, Tim. It looks like Kara is with us now. Kara, how are you? We can't hear you.
Hi, sorry about that. It was muted. How are you guys?
Hi, Kara.
Hi, nice to meet you.
Nice to meet you too.
Thanks for being here, Kara. I will go ahead and silence myself, and you guys have a conversation.
Great, thank you so much. So, Tim, congratulations on choosing to run for mayor. That is a wonderful undertaking. So, thank you for doing what you're doing.
Thank you so much.
You're welcome. You're very welcome. So, my first question is if the Phoenix Police Department is defunded, what new structures would you put in place to eradicate racism on the new force?
That's a great question. So let's think about the word defunding. We would probably have to change that because that'll never happen. When you say defunding, that means cutting off the police department. What we want to do is reallocate some serious funds that go to some different things that may help the community and the police department, such as social training, such as training of police officers. I spoke about this earlier about the training. When you start out training a police officer, you have to understand the person. And I know we're in a need for police officers, but we must stick to the training and strict regimen to become an officer. So if they've had some difficulties in their life, such as anger management, things of those things. These things need to look at before they get out onto the streets. So we would have to set up some different type of funding to take care of the training for the social issues.
Perfect. Thank you. Thank you so much. And then my second question is, just want to preempt it a little bit, just in the midst of all that's currently happening, what do you propose as solutions to bridge Democratic and Republican ideals across Phoenix?
Well, here's the thing. That's an excellent question also. But here's the thing. When you say bridging Democrats and Republicans, there probably won't be a bridge. But if we can get to the humanity side of each party, get to the not the party and about humane, we can come together. Because certain issues, it's not a Democrat, it's not a Republican, it's not an independent. It's a human reaction. So once we get to the human and the heart and the humanity of proposed questions like you asked, we can come together.
Great. Well, thank you. Thank you so much.
Thank you. Thank you.
Thank you, Kara, for being here.
You're a registered voter, aren't you?
Please. I should just say I moved to Arizona from Harlem. My dad was a freedom fighter, Tuskegee Airman. Yeah, I'm registered.
Tuskegee Airmen, great. I love the Tuskegee Airmen. So
Yeah.
we have a great history together. I appreciate that.
Yeah, you're welcome.
Thank you, Carol. Have a wonderful
Thank
evening.
you, Carol.
Thanks for being here. Well, it looks like we have gone through all of our community members very quickly. So this was very smooth and fast. Is there anything else that you would like to add before we conclude the show, Tim?
Yes, please go to my website, timcformayor.com. And also, I'm still in need of signatures. I got 3 weeks to get 1,500 signatures. I'm close. I think I'm about 98 short. So AZ Metro, if you could put that link up on your page and have people that really believe in the change to sign my petition so I can get on the ballot so I can make a change.
Wonderful. Absolutely. So everybody, please do look. We will be adding any posts that we can to support Tim, his initiative in getting on the ballot. That is the first step. And that requirement needs to be completed by the end of this month. Is that correct?
July 6th. I would have to turn in all signatures. And like I say, I'm about 98 away with 3 weeks to go. So I'm on pace. I just need everyone to keep the pace, and let's get me a couple hundred more, and we'll be okay.
Wonderful. Perfect. Okay. Well, thank you so much for being here this evening. I understand that you have another meeting to get to, so we won't keep you. I really do appreciate you being here. And for our viewers, thank you for tuning in and watching the show. And thank you so much to the community members for taking the time to write your questions, come on the show and coordinate with us so that we can have this conversation with Tim. And I look forward to everybody again in the future. Again, this is Coreen Zalot. I am the host for this evening's show with Arizona Metro News. And that does conclude our show for this evening. Thank you again for signing up. Please do support us on YouTube and Facebook, Arizona Metro News. And that is all for now. Have a good evening.